Hezbollah, also spelled Hezbollah, is a Shiite militant group and political party based in Lebanon. It is designated as a terrorist organization by countries including the United States, Israel, Canada, and members of the European Union. Hezbollah has a history of military conflict with Israel, notably during the 2006 Lebanon War. Hezbollah poses a military threat to Israel due to its large arsenal of rockets and missiles, estimated in the tens of thousands, many of which are capable of reaching deep into Israeli territory. The group has also built fortified positions and tunnels along the Israel-Lebanon border and has received training, funding, and weapons from Iran. If tensions escalate, Hezbollah could attempt to launch a large-scale rocket barrage on Israeli cities and infrastructure, potentially overwhelming Israel's missile defense systems. Such an action would almost certainly provoke a strong military response from Israel, possibly leading to a broader regional conflict. In addition to its missile arsenal, Hezbollah has developed advanced military capabilities over the years, transforming from a guerrilla force into a more conventional military power. This includes drones and precision-guided missiles. With assistance from Iran, Hezbollah has acquired drones and is believed to possess precision-guided munitions, PGMs, which can target specific military or civilian sites with greater accuracy than unguided rockets. Elite commando units. Hezbollah has trained elite units, such as the Radwan Force, which could potentially attempt cross-border raids into northern Israel in the event of war. These forces are trained in urban warfare and were battle-hardened during the Syrian civil war. Underground infrastructure. The group has built an extensive network of bunkers, tunnels, and command centers in southern Lebanon, making it difficult for Israeli airstrikes to completely dismantle its military infrastructure. Support from Iran and Syria. Hezbollah operates as part of the Axis of Resistance, aligned with Iran and the Assad regime in Syria. This strategic alliance enhances its access to weapons, intelligence, and regional coordination, posing a broader threat to Israel. A full-scale conflict between Hezbollah and Israel would be devastating for both sides and for the civilian populations in Lebanon and Israel. However, Hezbollah's strategy is largely based on deterrence, using its military strength to prevent Israeli attacks on Lebanon or on Iranian interests, and to respond forcefully if Israel strikes first. If a large-scale conflict between Hezbollah and Israel were to break out, several potential scenarios and consequences could unfold, both regionally and globally. 1. Intensified cross-border fighting. Rocket and missile barrages. Hezbollah would likely initiate massive rocket and missile attacks on Israeli cities, military bases, and infrastructure. Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system would intercept many of these projectiles, but some may still breach the defense, causing casualties and significant damage. Hezbollah's ability to launch precision-guided missiles would pose a more direct threat to key Israeli infrastructure. Ground clashes. In response, Israel would probably carry out large-scale airstrikes and potentially ground operations aimed at targeting Hezbollah's missile launchers, tunnels, and military bases in southern Lebanon. This could escalate into direct ground combat, especially if Hezbollah attempts to infiltrate Israeli territory with its elite commando units. 2. Wider regional involvement. Syrian and Iranian support. Hezbollah's actions could draw in regional powers. Syria, which is aligned with Hezbollah and Iran, might be drawn into the conflict, opening up a second front for Israel. Iranian support for Hezbollah would be crucial, with Iran likely providing additional arms, funding, and possibly engaging in direct action, e.g., cyber attacks or launching missiles from Iranian soil. Proxy warfare. If the conflict intensifies, other Iran-backed militias in the region, such as those in Iraq and Yemen, could be activated to target Israeli interests or U.S. military assets in the region. This would further spread the conflict across multiple fronts. 3. Impact on Lebanese civilian population. Humanitarian crisis. Southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah operates, would likely suffer severe damage from Israeli airstrikes and artillery fire. The Lebanese civilian population could face displacement, loss of infrastructure, and high casualties, exacerbating Lebanon's already dire economic and political situation. Hezbollah's presence within the civilian population complicates Israeli military operations, as it blurs the lines between combatants and civilians. International humanitarian aid. As the conflict escalates, international organizations would likely mobilize to provide humanitarian assistance to Lebanon. However, delivering aid could become difficult if the fighting continues to disrupt transport routes and exacerbate instability. 4. International reactions and diplomatic efforts. U.S. and Israeli coordination. The United States is a strong ally of Israel and would likely offer both military and diplomatic support. This could include intelligence sharing, arms supplies, and political backing at the United Nations. Israel's broader military strategy could be coordinated with U.S. interests in the region, especially to counter Iranian influence. United Nations and global diplomacy. The international community, particularly the United Nations, would call for ceasefires and de-escalation. However, the diplomatic response might be limited by the entrenched positions of the parties involved. Countries like Russia and China could also become involved diplomatically, either by supporting their allies, Syria, Iran, or by urging both sides to negotiate peace. 5. Cyber warfare. Cyber attacks. In addition to conventional warfare, both Hezbollah and Israel could engage in cyber warfare, targeting each other's critical infrastructure. Hezbollah could attempt to disrupt Israel's military and civilian operations, while Israel would likely try to cripple Hezbollah's command and control systems, as well as disrupt its supply chains. Iran, which has significant cyber capabilities, might also engage in cyber attacks on Israel as part of the broader conflict. 6. Economic and geopolitical consequences. Oil and gas markets. The conflict could destabilize energy supplies in the region, especially given Israel's and Lebanon's proximity to major oil and gas reserves in the eastern Mediterranean. If oil pipelines, platforms, or shipping lanes were targeted, this could lead to spikes in global energy prices. Broader Middle Eastern instability. A war between Hezbollah and Israel could further destabilize the already volatile Middle East. Other regional powers, including Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt, could become more involved, either in support of Israel or in efforts to mitigate the conflict and prevent its spread. 7. Prolonged conflict and stalemate. War of attrition. Given Hezbollah's entrenched position and asymmetric warfare tactics, a conflict could become a long, drawn-out war of attrition. Israel's technological advantage in missile defense and air superiority would give it the upper hand, but Hezbollah's ability to disperse its forces and fight in urban environments could make victory more difficult. This could lead to a prolonged and costly conflict for both sides, with high civilian and military casualties. Diplomatic resolution. Ultimately, a diplomatic resolution might emerge under international pressure to end hostilities, but such a process would be complicated by the broader political, sectarian, and ideological divisions in the region. Conclusion. A large-scale military conflict between Hezbollah and Israel could have devastating consequences, not just for the two parties involved but for the entire Middle East. The humanitarian impact, economic ramifications, and potential for wider regional involvement make such a conflict highly dangerous. While Israel's military superiority could allow it to inflict significant damage on Hezbollah, the group's resilience, strategic alliances, and tactics could prolong the conflict, creating a precarious and unstable situation for both Lebanon and Israel.